Recently, we had a off-season, reset meeting for the program, mainly for those guys coming back. We were able to enjoy the company of a couple seniors that showed up too. And we had this meeting right before Thanksgiving because we kind of want to get some things laid out for the team, discuss some.
Caller in Jeremiah Clyburl Hall, please come to office for dismissal.
Discuss some things that the team thinks that we need to work on to get better, to go over some things that we can do better as a coaching staff and as a program, and overall to kind of go over the surveys that we asked the guys to fill out that was in relation to their experiences this past year, things that they want to grow and improve upon, things that they thought they did well. And then, of course, the map and the schedule for the rest of the year leading into the next football season starting in August. One of the things we started off with was this particular, assessment, if you will, this tool that we use to help players see in themselves what type of athlete they are. And so not spending a whole lot of time on the lower three, but we talk about the 10-80-10 rule. And that was something that I discovered reading a book a long time ago called Above the Line. And the 10-80-10 rule is basically this. You have a top 10%, and it doesn't necessarily break off easily in a portion of 10 people out of 100. It could be anybody. It could be 90 out of 100 if they all fall into that top 10. And so what that top 10 has in it is young men, young women, folks who are intrinsically motivated to do the right thing. And I mean that in the case of like when you have a mission or you have a goal or you have an objective in front of you, these folks will sign up, show up early, leave late, and do it without anybody pushing them because they know it's what's best for them, and ultimately they know what's best for the team. The greatest level of these top 10% folks are the ones that are able to help bring other guys along. And so we talked about that. We talked about being committed, which is a good level athlete, a champion, if you will, but being compelled ultimately is where we want to get as many of our guys to as possible. So that way our program, our lives, our interactions in the school and in the community is something that we can be ensured that our players go out and lead in a great way without us having to constantly remind them, without us having to be right there by their side. We're talking about true level of integrity where these guys live out and do the things they are capable of doing without anybody watching. And then, we talked about the middle 80%, which are the guys who are compliant. They're buying into the program partially. They kind of get the idea of what they can and should be doing, and they just need a general push or a nudge in the right direction. And we asked the guys in that meeting that if they feel that they're in the top 10%, that they need to be going down and reaching out for those 80 and bring those 80 up. And those 80 should want to move up into the top 10. Then we spoke about the bottom 10, the 10% that, they're reluctant, they're resistant, they don't buy into the program. They may buy into the team because they got friends and stuff in there, but they're not overall trying to do what the mission would call them to do, and of course, when they're not with the team or they're not in front of the coaches, they may be making mistakes in the hallways of the school. They may not be doing what they can be doing in the classroom as they are capable of. And in the community, they're making some poor decisions that contradict what they say they'd like to achieve when it comes to football time and playing time and the actions and effort that would speak to a team or a player that's going to actually accomplish championship levels. And of course, resistant. Those type of folks, they don't buy into the team, they don't buy into the program, they're kind of lost. And it's not that you give up on those bottom 10, you just don't. You kind of set a standard and you say, this is what we want, this is what we need to have for the operation to work smoothly. This is the mission that we have in front of us, and if we want to accomplish this mission, this is the path we've got to take. And so you share that and you speak that into existence to the entire program, and then you'll find the top 10 are where they're at, the middle 80s where they're at, and the lower 10 is where they're at. And I can tell you that in my experiences and from what I knew from this book reading it, that the bottom 10 exist everywhere. Even in a college level program, which was what this book was built around or written around, there was lower 10% guys in that college level football program that just didn't completely buy in or didn't buy into the team. They maybe gotten to that level because of their athletic tools, their ability, and maybe they weren't quite honest, or maybe those coaches just missed when they recruited those guys. Of course, you don't want those guys in your program, but nevertheless, they're there, and they're there in the work world. They're there in our families. They're there, in a high school football program, and so. You don't know when those guys will actually take off and figure it out, so you don't give up on them. But as I told our players, you don't necessarily reach down and pull them along, right? Because you pull something that's reluctant and resistant from going the direction that they're built to go. You push somebody who just needs that nudge because maybe they're fearful or they're not quite sure, or they just need the encouragement to go in that direction. So looking to push athletes. And so this also goes by the way we think of things too, right? If we focus on the great things that are happening around us and not on the things that aren't happening around us, then that's going to personify itself in some really positive thinking and help us achieve the great goals that we have for this program and for each other. And so, that's where we're at. And so we ask our players, hey, you guys, look at this chart and where can you honestly say that you're at? It's very simple. Are you compelled? Are you committed? Are you compliant? Are you reluctant? Are you resistant? And so where we're at right now with our off-season training program or guys playing sports, it's easy for you to evaluate where you're at now. And we want to focus on working on being better in this area now for what it's going to translate to down the road. Could be for spring sports if they play spring sports. Could be, for the second quarter or third quarter academically. Could be for future professions, future careers in college. And it obviously could translate to what we're looking to accomplish next fall during the football season. So, we addressed and spoke to all that, kind of setting the groundwork on certain things we're trying to do. And we asked the guys to self-analyze right now where they're at. Are they in the top 10? Are they in the 80? Are they in the 10? In the weight room, for example, right now, which is where a lot of our guys can participate in, are you showing up? I mean, if you don't even show up, then you're obviously resistant. You're lost, right? And that's okay. Everybody's got to choose their own path. Are you there? Okay, I'm there. I'm compliant. I'm there, but I'm not doing all the sets and reps. Well, that would make me compliant. That's a general standard. That's average, right? But am I there? And am I buying into nutrition? Am I buying into the rest? Is going into that weight room something that I believe will make me a better person overall? And so consequently, I'm driving a lot of my purpose and passion to be great in that room, just like I would be in the classroom. Am I fueled by a larger goal of being something bigger than I can imagine myself? Am I going to the weight room, show up early? And am I doing extra sets? Am I completing all my sets? Am I completing all the reps? Am I looking for the coach to give me more? And I'm able to bring other guys along with me as I work towards uncommon greatness. If that's you, then guess what? You're the compelled, you're the great champion. And so I ask us all to analyze this, figure it out, look to where you're at, find out where you want to go, and get on the train because we're moving forward. This is Coach Steed, and I'm out. Boom.